Inside Lacrosse, Zach Babo here from the Carrier Dome, where the Orange came back with a big 14-13 victory over the Virginia Cavaliers. This game started out kind of slow, and then Virginia built a big 8-4 lead in the second quarter, and you really weren't feeling the old run and gun, and boom, there it came all of a sudden in the second half. Teams kind of swapped a couple of goals, and then Syracuse used a 6-1 run to tie the game at 11-11 down the stretch. And then Sergio Salcedo sticks the game winner with less than 30 seconds left for the go-ahead win. Big story for this game, though, was the surprise performance of Matt Lane for Syracuse. He's a large guy who I think a lot of people were expecting to see him play with a lot of physicality, and he definitely brought it today. Big win for the Orange to get back on track.
Jason Myers here, recapping the Denver-North Carolina game. North Carolina won this one, number 7, upset of number 1. By a score of 13-9. UNC was led by Luke Goldstock, who had 4 goals and an assist, and Brian Balcom had 17 saves in net, 5 saves each in the second, third, and fourth quarter. Balcom really put the team on his back today. A great defensive effort all around by the Tar Heels. They're able to really stymie a potent Denver offense, switching in and out of the zone. Forcing Denver to take shots that Balcom could easily save. So a great defensive effort today by the Tar Heels. Face-offs were almost even all day long. It was really even except for on the scoreboard.
Hello everybody, welcome to the Epoch Gameday Recap show. I am Dan Abern, joined today by Chris Rosenthal. We're going to get you up to speed with some of the action around the country. One game that was not televised but was a huge in the rankings was Penn State's 14-13 victory over the University of Pennsylvania. Penn State, it's their first signature win of the season. They can finally feel justified in their high ranking. Chris, tell the audience about this game a little bit.
Well, heading into this game, one of the key aspects, the big questions was, how's Penn State's offense going to confront Penn's defense? And, one of the primary scorers for Penn State was freshman Mac O'Keefe. Had a few games coming in, we had 7 goals, 8 goals. This game, only 1 of 7 shooting, but Penn State managed to find a way to get it done without him contributing in such a large fashion. One of the ways they did that, tremendously lopsided face-off advantage. Penn State was 24-31, so that definitely helped contribute. Penn State overcame a 7-4 halftime deficit, and like you mentioned, the final score 14-13. Big question heading into the weekend is how could these moves affect the top 10 ranks and that sort of thing. Teams above Penn State, a lot of losses, so we'll see how they play out come Monday. Another game that was big was Rutgers versus Brown. Rutgers ended up winning 13-11. What do you think about that one?
I mostly thought that just Rutgers kind of beat Brown at their own game. I mean, we talked about, Rutgers was probably the second best, run and gun team of last season, and in this game, they proved that they were the better team. They played with their signature R tempo, that's what they're calling it. They had multiple goals in transition, especially down the stretch. And another thing that I thought was big for them was their goalie. We talked about Chris Lane. He was a huge part of the transition game last year. They seem to have found, a replacement for him in Max Edelman. He had 8 saves in this game, came up huge. Another contributor for Rutgers was Kieran Mullins, a freshman with 4 goals. Jules Henningberg, no goals in this game, but 2 assists. On the Brown side, Phil Goss, he was pulled in the Stony Brook game. He had 19 saves in this contest, so a little bit of a recovery for him. And reigning Tewaaraton winner Dylan Malloy, 3 goals, 1 assist. Rutgers now, though, 5-0, and they're increasingly consistent from week to week. I think Brown, though, 1 and 2, they've got to really, question what path they're on going forward into the season.
Jack Goods here for Inside Lacrosse, and Ohio State just opened up their Midwest Lacrosse Classic weekend with a nice resume-building victory over the Marquette Golden Eagles. Ends up being a 12-6 final for Ohio State. The Buckeyes scored 9 unanswered goals, starting at the end of the second frame all the way to about 2 minutes left in the fourth. Trey LeClaire scores a hat trick. A trio of other Buckeyes score a pair. But just as important as the goal numbers were the face-off numbers in this game. Jake Withers wins 16 of his 21 draws. And Marquette in the second half, they just couldn't string together any possession. Talked to Coach Amplo after the game, and he said, yeah, I'm not really upset with the way my team played. It's just when you don't have the ball, you're not going to score. It just comes down to it. So now Ohio State, they can earn a nice resume-building win, as I mentioned, their first victory, despite being undefeated, their first victory against a team ranked in the top 30 by Inside Lacrosse at the start of the year. Or Marquette now 2 straight losses against top 20 teams in Richmond and Ohio State.
To finish up, we're going to run down some scores. Loyola beat Holy Cross 16-9. Patrick Spencer had 1 goal, 9 assists. Hofstra beat Georgetown 11-9. And then Stony Brook beat Fairfield 9-6.
Towson beat UMBC 8-6. Sacred Heart over Providence 10-8. Brooks Dutton had 17 saves in that one for Sacred Heart. Delaware over Villanova 13-10. And in Patriot League action, Navy over Bucknell 13-7.
That about wraps it up for this week. Thank you for joining us again on the Epoch ILGameday Recap. Follow along InsideLacrosse.com for your scores, stats, and highlights. Follow us on social media at inside_lacrosse on Twitter and at IL_photos on Instagram. Don't forget to gear up your season with Epoch's line of gear and apparel like the Gen 6 Dragonfly Shaft, Ultralight Otter Mesh, and the Hawk Prequel Head.